Another tool for active reconnaissance is called Nikto. Nikto is a very useful application scanning tool that actually finds vulnerabilities and weaknesses that exist on, web servers. Even though this is a web application scanner, you can actually use it against servers, and you might find some, vulnerabilities that you could potentially exploit, on these servers. For right now, we're going to hold off until we get to the web application pen testing section to actually look at Nikto and see what it can actually find, because it'll be more useful there. Another tool that kind of combines multiple tools into one is called Sparta. It just puts everything together in like one interface so that you can see everything, and it's automated. It makes the information gathering portion of your reconnaissance pretty easy. Some of the tools that it actually includes in it is Nmap, Nikto, like we just went over, Hydra, which is like a brute forcing tool, and also a HTTP screenshot tool. So it actually go through and screenshot what it sees, like if you were to access a certain address over a certain port in a browser. So it's pretty useful. You can do these port scans, web application scans, and brute force all by just typing in the IP addresses that you want to target with Sparta. So let's go ahead and check out Sparta and how to use it. Back on the Kali Linux machine, so one thing that I noticed, I wanted to note that if you have the 2020 version of Kali Linux, Sparta is not going to be included on it, and you won't be able to download it from what I could tell, at least not by traditional means, because it relies on an earlier version of Python, and they took out tools that relied upon that version of Python in this version of Kali Linux. So there's another tool that's the exact same thing. It's called Legion. So if you can check to see if you have it or not, or if you're using an earlier version of Kali Linux and you want to, be on exactly what we're using, you should do apt install Legion. And I believe that this one just comes with it on there. So we can just type in Legion and hit enter. And let's give it a minute. It's going to pop up with a nice little GUI. So we can go ahead and actually conduct our scanning. So we can just click here and add our host to the scope. We're just going to do one just for the sake of time. So we're going to do 192.168.56, and right here you can put .0/24 if you wanted to do a whole subnet for your own purposes. Right now we only have limited hosts on here anyway, so that would just waste time and resources. I only have one laptop. So I'm going to do 104 for the metasplittable machine. And then it's going to run an Nmap post discovery. So it's going to check, see, hey, is this host up? And then also it's going to run a staged Nmap scan, which is going to pretty much, it's like a layered Nmap scan that does it like pretty efficiently. And then it's also going to be running Nikto, and we can optionally run like the brute force tool if we wanted to. We're not going to do that here, but you can play with that on your own if you wanted to. And it's also going to do the screenshot tool, where it's going to take screenshots of, some potentially open ports and stuff. So hit submit. And then it's going to start the process, going to start to cook some stuff up, and you're going to see stuff start to pop up on the screen, and then we can check out the results. So let's just give it a minute and we'll come back. So now we have some results in here, so we can actually go ahead and start to look at the results and see what's going on. As you can see, it found a lot of the open ports that we found before. I believe it's still doing some things, but it can take a while. Some of these stage Nmap scans could take a while. It also ran some like enumeration stuff, like some of the tools from Nmap, so it actually looked for some vulnerabilities for us, so that's pretty neat. So what we can do is see like, hey, these ports are open, it's running these services, so it kind of automates the process for you. I prefer to use this and in combination with Nmap, because I like to do some some hands-on stuff myself with Nmap, like some very specific things. But this is a good tool that kind of like lays it out so you can see everything, and it kind of like I said, it does it for you. So like I said, it does the Nikto scan. This is what output from Nikto would look like. We'll also see that a little bit later on. But it's actually seeing that there's a lot of stuff that we can potentially take advantage of, and these are things that we can search up and probably find. Like for example, the PHP MyAdmin is something that's very commonly found, that's exploitable and can be an issue. So that's something we'll probably look into once we get into that section. So it found a lot of vulnerabilities, and then it did a screenshot. I don't think that it has anything hosted right now on port 80, but it would have done a screenshot of the web page if it would have found something. And let's see, it ran these other scripts, and these are it didn't have any output for the SMTP one, but it does have some output for the SMB enumeration. And it's kind of what we did before, where it found like the SMB shares that it's like connected to and such. So you can play with this and look through the different stuff. Like, hey, we ran the Postgres, a default script, trying to see, it doesn't. Yeah, so it found a valid password actually, and Hydra actually went through and figured out what the password was. So That's pretty good. So it kind of automates a lot of the process for you. So I really recommend that you look into this and try to see the different stuff that you can actually find. And like once again here, it found a valid password as well. Pretty much like right here is FTP anonymous logon is allowed. So that's pretty neat. Very powerful tool, automates everything for you for the most part. So you can use this or you can do the command line stuff if you want to be a little bit more hands-on and specific.